Have you ever wondered how some musicians improve so quickly while the rest struggle for weeks to learn a single piece? I used to spend ages learning the same pieces until I changed one small but crucial thing in my practice and made more progress in 2 months than in years before. I've seen this approach work for thousands of my students too. So in this video, I'll show you how to learn music much faster without adding any complicated practice techniques. Here's what changed things for me. Back when I had a full-time job, I practiced hard in my free time, but felt like I had nothing to show for it. And then I decided to get serious. I set out to practice for 2 hours every morning before work. And honestly, I didn't expect much to change, and I thought I'd burn out or quit after a couple of weeks. But to my surprise, I made more progress in those next few months than I had in the previous few years. And I ended up happily sticking with this seemingly hardcore regime for 2 solid years. Why? Well, looking back, I realised it wasn't about willpower. Most musicians try to muscle through with sheer determination, but that's guaranteed to fail. You either burn out or you force yourself to the point of going through the motions mindlessly. In my case, it turns out I'd accidentally made my practice fun and motivating, as well as consistent and effective. And science backs this up. It turns out motivation and enjoyment aren't just nice to have extras, they're essential for real lasting progress. So I went on to reverse engineer this approach to get amazing results for my students, even if they can only find a short amount of time each day for practice. But how do you make practice both enjoyable and super effective? Here are the 5 simple things that changed everything for me and my students. When you use all 5, your playing will improve so rapidly it feels like cheating. Let's dive in. Number 1. Imagine trying to drive a car with an empty gas tank. You might be able to push it a little way, but you won't get far. And that's what practice is like without a strong reason pulling you forward. So, what really inspires you about music? That's your fuel. For some people, it's the dream of playing on stage. For others, the joy of making music with friends or the satisfaction of finally nailing that one piece they love. For me personally, I realised it was about tapping into my creativity and being able to improvise strong melodies on the fly. So tip number 1 is find your deep why. Whatever it is, get clear on it, picture it every time you sit down to practice. Because when you know exactly why you're putting in the effort, practice stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a step towards something exciting. And there's an extra bonus. Your subconscious mind gets in on the action too. Once you've set a clear target, it will work behind the scenes to help you close the gap between your current reality and where you want to go, keeping you motivated, even on those tough days. Take a minute now. What's your deep why? Write it down, keep it close, and let it fuel every practice session. Next, I'll show you how to harness that motivation and turn it into real progress. Number 2. Imagine having a huge, high-powered engine in your car, but never actually turning it on. That's what it's like to have a big goal, but not connect it to your daily practice. All that motivation is just sitting there, untapped. So tip number 2 is tap into your why before every practice session. Here's how you do that. Before you start any practice topic or exercise, get specific. Ask yourself, exactly how is what I'm about to do right now going to help me reach my big goal? And I really do mean exactly how here. Don't settle for vague answers like, well, I guess scales will help me get better. Pin it down. Make sure the specific way you're going to practice those scales is the next micro step along the path to your current objective. And maybe that's something like playing one great solo at an open mic. And then make sure that current objective is your next waypoint on the road to your big goal. When you can see exactly how today's work is a tiny step towards your dream, you'll feel a surge of motivation. Because you're not just hoping things will work out, you're seeing meaningful progress right now. Here's a quick way to do it. First, ask yourself, what's my big goal? Then, what's the next small step? And finally, how does today's practice move me closer? But what if you look at a practice topic and you can't link it to your goal? That's a sign you might be working on the wrong thing. So switch it up. Refocus on something that actually gets you closer to your musical dreams. Next, I'll show you how to keep that momentum rolling. Number 3, picture this. You're running a marathon in the desert. Would you rather have one giant bucket of iced water waiting at the finish line, or a cup of water handed to you every mile. Most people would never make it across all 26 miles of burning sand without those regular boosts along the way. And music practice is no different. If you save all your rewards for some distant finish line, you'll burn out long before you get there. But if you set up tiny, winnable challenges for yourself every few minutes, you'll keep your motivation topped up and actually enjoy the journey. So tip number 3 is set mini games and challenges. For example, instead of "I'll practice scales for half an hour," break it into bite-sized missions. So, can I play the scale up and down once without a mistake? And then maybe, now, can I hit a certain speed while I do that? And can I nail it 3 times in a row? You see, each time you hit one of these mini goals, you get a little squirt of dopamine. That's your brain's reward chemical. And the more of these quick wins you rack up, the more fun and motivating your practice becomes. Myself, I would literally use a timer to break my longer practice sessions into shorter chunks, mostly about 5 minutes long, but some as short as 2 minutes or as long as 10. So fill your sessions with these quick wins. If you're not ticking off little goals every minute or two, make your challenges even smaller. You'll stay focused, have more fun, and actually want to come back for more. Number 4, imagine you're at a casino wearing a pair of X-ray specs. Go with me on this one. You can see one blackjack dealer who has terrible cards, while another has an ace and a king, the perfect hand. What do? Well, you go and play at the table where you're most likely to win, of course. Why make things harder than they need to be? And it's the same with music practice. You get to set the rules, so take full advantage of that. Tip number 4 is stack the deck in your favour. If a challenge feels too tough, don't just keep bashing away and hoping for the best. Make it easier, slow down the tempo, or break it into smaller pieces, until you're able to win every time. Every time you succeed, you get those little dopamine hits we talked about in tip 3, keeping you motivated and making practice fun. And there's an extra bonus. You'll actually learn better. Practicing things the right way builds strong skills, while struggling and repeating mistakes just makes you better at doing it wrong. So next time you're stuck, don't just push through. Change the game so you always win. Set yourself up for success, celebrate your progress, and watch your skills soar. Number 5. Here's a surprising research finding. In one experiment, people held their hands in painfully cold water. Some had to keep their hands in longer, but with the water warmed up just a tiny bit at the end. And strangely, those people rated the whole experience as more pleasant, even though technically they suffered more. Why? Because our brains remember the ending most. It's the same with music practice. Your brain doesn't average out how it felt across every minute. It puts a spotlight on how things finished. So if you end with something boring or by making lots of mistakes, that's what sticks in your memory. But if you finish with something you enjoy and you do well, you remember the whole session as being fun and successful. So tip number 5 is end on a high. Always finish your practice by playing something fun and familiar. A favourite tune, a phrase you love, or anything that makes you feel good about your playing. That last burst of enjoyment will colour your memory of the whole session, making you way more likely to look forward to practising again. Sure, the rest of your session matters too, but those final few minutes of practice carry by far the most weight. So before you finish, plan a positive ending. Your future self will thank you. But once you're practicing consistently in a way that's fun and keeps you motivated, you've still got to make sure that the work you're doing is effective, not wasted effort. So watch this video next, where I show you the 6 practice mistakes that keep most musicians stuck and how to fix them.